Democratic vote.
OK, we'll leave that there. A billboard has been vandalised with anti-Semitic graffiti in Melbourne's inner north. The phrase, "Glory to Hamas," was spray painted above a busy intersection in Fitzroy. Police are now investigating the incident. Well, joining us live, Tim Wilson. And we'd usually be talking about other matters this morning, but this has just come to our attention, Tim. Good to see you, by the way. First of all, what are your thoughts on this as a Victorian?
Well, it's deeply distressing, but it's a reminder that Hamas has won a propaganda war every step of the way, and unfortunately there are people who look at innocent civilians being used as human shields, as Israeli hostages being held behind enemy lines now for 2 years, and sadly some people have been taken in by this propaganda, and I think it should be inflamed and congratulated when it should be condemned resolutely and unapologetically.
I mean, we're just trying to get in the mindsets of whoever did this, but is the idea here to keep divisiveness alive here as peace talks are underway in Egypt right now?
Well, absolutely. There is some sections, sadly, of the Australian community who want to sow division, to turn hatred towards particularly the Jewish community, but to use as a basis to drive broader division within society and to inflame extremism. It's why good people need to stand up, and it's one of the tragedies of the past 2 years. There's been many tragedies, but the biggest tragedy has been a failure of leadership, particularly from Canberra and particularly from our state premier in Victoria, where we've seen consistent rise of extremism. They failed to call it out, and as a consequence it's created a permissive environment where now many people are fearful for their safety in a community where this has not been the norm in the past. Well,
the coincidence for this is that it came just yesterday and even again today with Richard Marles, but Anthony Albanese said today that he didn't want any protests to take place on October 7. Today is October 7, 2 years after the terror attacks that Hamas committed on Israel, so these folks aren't listening.
Well, they're not listening because he lost his moral authority, and he lost his moral authority when he didn't stand up against the protests on October 8, 2023, on the steps of the Sydney Opera House, when people were, and there's a conjecture about whether it was gas the Jews or where's the Jews, but whichever one it was, it didn't matter. It should have been condemned. He didn't stand up, he wasn't resolute, and so he lost his moral authority then. It's just continued to cascade since.
Well, now there's a push to have another protest, pro-Palestinian protest at the Opera House, perhaps even this Sunday. It's before the courts right now, though.
Well, I really hope it doesn't go ahead, and it's not just that I don't hope it goes ahead because I disagree with it. I ultimately believe in free association like everybody else does. I hope it doesn't go ahead because think about the number of lives that have been lost. Think about the families that have been separated. Think about the people who have had their children's burden alive by Hamas. And do you really think this is something we should be celebrating or congratulating? I mean, this is a sick perversion on humanity that we think this is the sort of thing we should be bringing to national attention or applauding. I hope as Australians we're better than that. I hope as Australians we stand up and fight for the type of country we want to be, and it's one that's respectful and inclusive and actually stands up for our common humanity, not for this type of division. OK,
change of pace now. Let's get to some of the issues that are involving the Liberal Party at the moment. So it's been well reported that rising star Andrew Hastie has left the opposition front bench. What hasn't been reported much is what he'll be doing now. Here's a few takes on that this morning for those familiar with a far-off galaxy.
I said to him the other day, I think he's going to the planet Dagobah, like Luke Skywalker, to improve his mind and feats of strength, and he'll come back with even stronger. That's right. He's got to pull the Liberal Party out of the swamp just by mere sheer willpower.
Well, yes, I'd probably differ from his characterisation of things as a swamp. I'd probably say more bar at Mos Eisley's. But I think what Andrew is doing is, as he has said, focusing on what he thinks our party should be doing, and he'll make his contribution from the backbench.
I'm not sure whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, Tim, but Jonathan's reference to Mos Eisley there, Obi-Wan Kenobi called it a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Is that a bit harsh for the coalition at the moment?
Well, somebody who's hiding out in the Jedi Temple, standing for truth, justice and the Australian way of life, my focus is on Prime Minister Palpatine. We currently have someone who is parading himself out there as though he's on the side of the Australian people, when in fact what he's secretly trying to do is take power. He's doing things like abusing freedom of information legislation, ordering or executing orders like Order 66 to take out any of his enemies inside the Labor Party. If I was some of those Labor Party younglings who were elected at this election, I'd be very cautious about crossing Prime Minister Palpatine because he's coming to get you.
All right. Well, you are well versed on matters Star Wars, Tim. On a serious note, though, isn't it better to have Hasty on the front bench rather than the back bench?
We want people who are willing and keen to serve. And, you know, Andrew's made a decision. He's going to go off and write a book, is what I read. I wrote a book when I was last in office. I was able to do that while prosecuting campaigns against the Labor Party. I hope he would do the same. But the key objective is we want people who are going to stand up, fight for the future of our country, because liberalism comes alive when we're standing up for not just for the values we believe in, but the Australians we believe in. We need a liberal awakening in this country that stands up for the type of nation we want to be, that's strong, that's prosperous, that's full of hope. And that's what I'm going to be fighting for.
OK. Good to talk to you, Tim. Well done. We'll talk to you soon. We're off to a break on that note, folks.